Hello, Evangel Cathedral. This is Glenn Garnes back again with your orientation lesson. And I want to address a little issue here that made me chuckle when it started happening. But several of you contacted me wanting to make sure that you had not missed the homework assignment because you thought it was going to come out last week. And I want to apologize for one thing, which was giving you the impression that there was going to be this major homework assignment that you had to have finished before you get together with us on March 28th, which is our first in-person group training session. Really, more than anything else, you need to have the right mindset and come with the right attitude, and that's what this orientation is going to be largely about today. There's no studying, nothing that you have to review in advance other than this lesson. So don't think that there is anything major that you have to be prepared to do other than to come with an open mind. Remember those two things we talked about in my presentation? Be teachable and be open to change. I want you to spend the rest of this week preparing yourself to be teachable and to be open to change, because you're going to hear some things that are going to be very different than what you may have been taught in school, what you may have heard from your parents, what you may have heard from your boss or other people, including friends and family members. So the point I'm trying to make is that you're going to have to be prepared to come with an open mind about new things that you may be getting introduced to these things for the first time in your life. So this is going to be more about preparing yourself for the right mental attitude, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So the agenda of this particular orientation is to start you off by preparing you for entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a very different mindset. Oh, let me back up for just a second here and say this. When you come to the event, you should have a notebook, preferably something loose leaf so that you can add new pages to it or whatever. It doesn't have to be. As long as you have something to write with that you can keep with you. I would actually encourage you to get a journal and to keep your notes and some other things I'm going to ask you to record in that journal on a daily basis. Keep that with you at all times. You will probably fill these journals up pretty quickly with information, so especially notes and other things that we're going to talk about. So you might want to buy a pack of journals that you can, quickly, readily access without having to worry about running back and forth to the store every time one fills up. But with that in mind, if you're listening to this right now, you probably don't need to have the journal handy currently, because you can always go back and watch this lesson again. And that's something you might want to do during the course of this week. Now, since I'm in the middle of preparing this lesson, I have no idea how long it's going to be, but it's probably going to be about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Now, with that in mind, we're going to be preparing you, as I said, to have an entrepreneurial mindset. We're also going to talk a little bit about what your idea is. And then we're going to talk about, and when I say your idea, whatever it is that you have in mind that you'd like to do in a business. And I don't want you to be spooked if you don't have an idea. That's why I'm here, to help you get an idea and then to show you the ways that you can pursue that idea. And then today we're going to be talking about a few things that you need to know about this journey and how to make it one of enrichment and one of success for yourself. So that's all we're going to cover for today's purposes. So just sit back, listen, and learn. Now, I like to think that it's not even something I like to think. I know that one of the most important investments that you can make is an investment in you. That's why I place such a premium on personal development, whether it's personal development or professional development. It's all the same to me. Anytime you're doing something to learn a new skill or to enrich your knowledge in some fashion, you're engaging in personal development. Another area that often comes up when it comes to personal development is health and wellness. Learning how to take better care of yourself, and both mentally, physically, and spiritually. And the bottom line, I guess, in all of this is that everything that you do has the potential to be an investment in yourself. Everything that you do has a potential to add value to who you are and to add capabilities to what you're able to do for yourself and for others. A lot of times we don't think about this, but When we invest in ourselves, we become better at who we are and what we do, which makes us more valuable to ourselves individually, but it also makes us more valuable to the people around us. I mean, think about it. The more you're capable of doing, the more help you can offer others. Imagine if I had not learned what I know about internet marketing and about being in business and about technology resources. There would be no reason for us to be connected right now because your interest was to learn these things. If I didn't develop those skills, I'd have no way of being of service to you. So I want you to keep in mind that everything you do has the potential to be an investment in you. And it's not just about time or money. It's also about people. It's also about gaining access to information. It's also about getting out and engaging in activity so that you can test and try the things that you're learning. All of that adds to your body of knowledge, and it becomes an investment in you if you allow it to be. So with that in mind, I want to talk with you now about a little bit of I call this attitude adjustment, but it's really mental preparation. And I want to talk with you about the importance of having a positive mental attitude. A lot of people allow this to go over their heads. They really don't appreciate what it means, what I mean when I say that in order to be successful, you have to have a positive mental attitude. And I think that by the time we're done with this, you'll see that. And you're going to find yourself periodically falling into old habits. But this time you'll become aware of when you're not being positive, and you'll catch yourself and immediately be able to shift yourself back into a positive mentality or positive mode of thinking. So let's talk a little bit about what we mean and the importance of a positive mental attitude. So I've learned in my experience, and this is something I was taught many, many years ago. I can't even remember for sure where I picked this up, but I do know that it was an important message for me to receive at the time that I did. And that is that your attitude, everything starts with your attitude, because your attitude dictates the action that you take. And of course, the action that you take dictates the results that you get. The results that you get dictate the lifestyle that you get to live. So action is dictated by attitude. The results is dictated by what you choose to do with your attitude. And the results also ultimately end up, becoming your lifestyle, because that's where, as you get results, you get to start doing the things you want to do instead of the things you feel you have to do. So let's take a look a little bit further. Attitude leads to action. Action leads to results. Results leads to lifestyle. So if you understand that, then I think that you could also then understand why having a positive attitude would lead to positive results. Or positive action. In other words, taking the right action steps. If you're taking the right action steps, then you're going to get positive results. And if you're getting positive results, that's what allows you to lead a positive lifestyle. Now, if you understand the dynamic here, the opposite of what I just shared with you is also true. People that have a negative attitude tend to take negative action, sometimes taking no action at all. Think about all the people that came to that event and have no intention of doing anything with the information that was given by speakers. Think of the people who signed up and didn't show up. They have already put themselves in a position to be crippled compared to the action that you're taking to move yourself forward in time. So negative action results in negative results, and negative results will get you a negative lifestyle. Now, it doesn't get simpler than that. But sometimes it doesn't really, we sometimes can be subconsciously aware of these principles. Some of these things I'm sharing with you are not rocket science. They may not even be new to you. But the point is, it doesn't hurt to be reminded that your attitude dictates your action, and that dictates your results, and that dictates your lifestyle. So if you want to improve your lifestyle, you need to improve your attitude. That's where it all starts. That's the seed that gets everything else in motion. And if you understand that, then we're going to show you some things you can be doing to make sure that you have the right mental mindset, not just in your business, but in your life in general. In fact, your business, you're going to find, is going to open you up to so much new information, so many new ideas, that it's going to be more important, not just because of what you'll earn, but because of who it allows you to become. I've never seen someone be successful in business without also being successful in life. Not some, I've never seen somebody be truly successful in business without also mastering their life. And so being on this entrepreneurial journey is going to put you in a position not just to have a great business, but to have a great life, not just because of what you earn, but because of what you learn and how you choose to implement and work with what you learn. These are all very, very simple principles, but they're all very important. So, the beginning of your journey is a two-stage process. Part of it is going to involve correcting the errors of the past, and the next part is going to be picking up new disciplines for the future. This is something that was highlighted by Jim Rohn, a gentleman who I consider to be a mentor from afar. I've really become a student of Jim Rohn's teachings. He's just an absolute fantastic wealth of information. Unfortunately, he's no longer here with us, but he left a legacy of learning for a lifetime. So what Jim Rohn talked about was the fact that if you've been doing things wrong in the past, if you've not gotten the results that you're looking for, it's time to fix that. And the best way to fix it is to be aware of what you're not doing or aware of what you are doing that's causing you to create negative results, and then to correct those things and then pick up and learn new things that will help you to be better equipped for your future. And that's really what you did when you signed up for this course, was you equipped yourself to correct the errors of the past and to pick up some new disciplines for the future. And that's exactly what's going to happen here for you as long as you stick with it. So this two-stage process is going to be our focus for the next 12 months and beyond. All you've got to do is to make a commitment to correct the errors of the past and to focus on getting better at who you are by picking up new disciplines for the future. So we talked about the fact that everything starts with a positive mental attitude. That's what PMA stands for. And part of PMA is deciding to take responsibility for your life. And that means deciding what you really want. Now, I realized that when you signed up for this course, you didn't realize how much time and attention we were going to be devoting to getting your head in the game. But truly, this is possibly the most important lesson of everything you're going to learn, because it will dictate how well you receive future teachings. Everyone always wants to know the secret sauce or the formula for success or whatever. The formula for success is to have your head in the game at all times and to be looking for opportunity instead of tragedy. And part of that has to do with having a positive mental attitude, as we're going to continue to talk about during the course of this lesson. So, with that in mind, during the course of this week, I want you to think about what it is that you really want. That's got to be a focus for you. If you can determine what it is that you really want, it becomes a lot easier to get it. I mean, it's just common sense in a lot of ways. How can you possibly get what you want if you haven't determined what that is? It's kind of like trying to hit a target without aiming. If you don't have something to shoot for, how can you know what you're aiming at? So I want you to give some thought. Doesn't mean that you have to definitively decide between now and Saturday what you want. It's just that you're going to at some point in time have to figure that out before anybody else can help you. Once you know what you want, the next step, of course, is to commit to do the things that are necessary to get it. Some of that's going to be learning. Some of that's going to be taking action. Some of that's going to be identifying other people who can help you along your way. Some of it's going to be planning. All of that is necessary to getting what you want to manifest in your life. And of course, that also means being consistent in taking action. You have to be prepared and willing to take consistent action towards those things that you want, but you first have to know what it is you want. See, there's a lot of people, they think that they want something until they find out what it took for somebody else to get it. And then all of a sudden it becomes less important when they realize there's a little work to do. So I want you to have a heart-to-heart conversation with yourself this week. And I want you to ask yourself not just what you want, but why you want it. I often find that The why behind the what is what really drives you to stick with the things that are necessary to be done to make it happen. Let me give you an example. A lot of people will tell me that they want to have their own business so that they can make more money or so they can leave their full-time job. And that may be true on the surface, but what I find is when I start asking them a few questions, we really get to peel the onion back and find out what's really motivating them. For example, I've had people have told me that they wanted to be able to have their own business so that they'd have more time to themselves. That's a very common one. And so I ask people, well, why is having more time important? Well, if I had more time, I'd be able to spend more time with my family. Well, why is spending time with your family important? Well, spending time with my family is important because when I was growing up, my parents were absent from the house. They both worked jobs, and I felt like I didn't really have a mother and father, and I don't want my kids to grow up without knowing me and having me around. You start to see as you start to peel back that onion. So the real issue is I want a job. I want a business, not because I want to leave my full-time job, but because I want to be a better parent. I want to be there for my children. You see, that's the kind of vision that will cause you to get up off the couch and do what's necessary to get the job done and take consistent action. When you start thinking about what that means for your children, not just getting out of your full-time job. So have that heart-to-heart conversation with yourself about what is really motivating you. Ask yourself the whys behind the whys until you get to the essence of why this is important to you. And we're going to probably have some discussion about that at the first session with some of you who will help me or allow me to work with you to peel back the onion a little bit. You know, a lot of times you find people, they want to have their own business because they're trying to prove others wrong or to impress other people. But the truth is that they're really trying to develop self-esteem. They're trying to show themselves that they can do it. They're trying to show themselves that they're capable of more because someone once told them that they'd never amount to anything. And so again, whatever your why is, I want you simply to be focused on finding it. Ask yourself sincerely and openly, why is this important to me? And then when you answer that question, ask yourself the follow-up question of why is that important to you? And if you do that about 3 or 4 times, you'll eventually get down to what really matters to you and why you are going into a business for yourself. Now, let's move on to another attitude adjustment opportunity here. I like to talk with people about what their attitude towards life is, because the view scope through which you choose to see your life as it happens around you very much dictates the results that you can expect and how you get to those results. So I want you to ask yourself the question, when something comes up in life that isn't immediately perceived to be pleasant, do I tend to blame other people when things don't go the way I want them? Or am I the kind of person that takes responsibility? I use the term responsibility rather than responsibility, because responsibility, if you turn it around, the ability to respond. You see, most of us in life, we have a tend to react. You know, we're always in crisis mode. We're always reacting to something somebody else said. We don't stop and deliberate and think before we act. A response is usually something that is delivered following a decision to stop and think. We always want to be full of thought. That's what thoughtful means. Thoughtful doesn't mean nice and kind. It means being full of thought. So when someone tells you that you were very thoughtful, that means that you took the time to stop and think about whatever it was that you did. So with that in mind, I want you to start thinking about responsibility as being the ability to respond. Because if you understood it that way, you would never give responsibility to somebody else. You would always want to have control over your ability to respond. So with that in mind, let's focus on moving you to the ability to respond instead of the desire or the habit of blaming others. You see, when you blame someone else, what you're really saying is that I did not have control over my circumstances. You were in control of how I feel. Another place that we want to be, envy versus inspiration. You see, a lot of us see people around us that are doing things we'd like to do, or who are achieving things we'd like to achieve or accomplish, and we have a tendency to be a little bit jealous, a little envious, when we really ought to be looking at their example and using that as inspiration to go and do it as well. People who understand the difference between envy and inspiration call that modeling knowledge. If you see somebody doing something that you'd like to be doing, instead of envying them, find out how they did it. And then make a commitment to do the things that are necessary to do it as well. So there's never a reason for you to envy somebody else. It is rare that people are accomplishing things around you that you can't yourself do once you know what they're doing to be successful. So your goal when you see something happening, somebody doing well, is to find out how they did it. Some of the most successful people on the planet write books every day about how they accomplished their success. Read those books. Many people will tell you, they'll answer your questions. Most of them are proud enough and confident enough to just tell you what they did to be successful. It's rare that you run into people who want to keep their cards close to their chest and won't tell you what they did to be successful, because truly confident people don't perceive you as being a competitor. They're happy to tell their story, especially if it helps somebody else. Now, we talked at the seminar about at the employment conference about fear. My definition of fear is, my theory on fear is that fear is a dashboard indicator that indicates that you're about to learn something. Fear equals time to learn. But you have to put yourself in a mindset and have an attitude towards fear that allows fear to be your friend, not your foe. You see, fear is what makes you dependent on others versus being in control, because you use it as a tool to motivate you to learn. So again, changing your attitude towards life means changing your attitude towards how you perceive fear. And then, of course, the last one here is opportunity versus tragedy. There's a lot of people that looked at this course and they sat in the audience and said, wow, I'd really like to do that. And then when I announced the investment that was necessary to do it, that became a tragedy for them. So they allowed an opportunity that was being presented to become a tragedy because they allowed money to be a deal breaker on investing in themselves. I like to recommend to my clients that they invest in themselves at the level at which they expect results. I spend a small fortune, every penny I have discretionary, that I can assign to learning something new, buying new resources, getting ebooks, attending workshops and seminars. There isn't a week that goes by that I don't buy an ebook or some other course or watch a video or something that teaches me something more than I knew the week before, because I see opportunity everywhere. And when you start to learn to view life through this kind of a scope, you will see opportunity everywhere as well. So don't let little things throw you off track. Don't allow everything that happens that doesn't appear to be for you immediately be a deal breaker. Sometimes what happens to you happens for you, and you don't realize it at the time. But the truth is that anybody who did not have the resources to come up with the money to be invested in this course probably needs this course worse than they understand. So think about that. Now, obviously, this isn't a sales pitch for the course, because you all have already purchased the course, and good for you, because you did not allow opportunity to pass you by just because you had to figure out how to come up with a few bucks to invest in yourself. So good for you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I know it's not always easy to go out on a limb and try something new with somebody new. And that's why I'm so thankful that you gave me the opportunity to work with you. I know that means a lot to you, and it definitely means a lot to me. Now, let's talk a little bit about the importance of training and personal development. On your journey, you're going to find that you will accelerate the pace at which you're able to learn and to be successful by adopting a mindset of being a student, a perpetual student. Now, being a perpetual student doesn't mean that you wait until you know everything before you get started. That's not possible. By being a perpetual student, I mean, even when you have gotten some success in your business, you're going to have to be open to learning even more, because the more you learn, the faster you'll accelerate the next your ascension to the next level. The point is that the learning never stops. Education is an ongoing experience. It is basically a lifestyle, not something you do one time. So I want you to get in the habit of getting training on a regular basis. Now, there has never been an easier opportunity for you to do that than there is today, with all of the internet resources that are available for free. Most of what I do on a regular basis for education, I get for free. I have to buy courses, and certain people I respect that have great content. I buy their content. I buy what they're offering as a course. But there's a tremendous amount of stuff available for free. All we have to do is turn off the TV and turn on our minds. It's all out there waiting for you. Now, it's not enough just to get training. You have to apply what you learn. A lot of people are used to hearing, and this is one of those myths that people have been conditioned to believe, knowledge is power. Well, you know what? That's not completely true. Knowledge implemented through action, through applying what you learn, is what generates the power. Just like putting gas in your car doesn't make it powerful until you start the engine and push the gas pedal. So I want you to get in the habit of understanding that what you learned is designed to be implemented. It's designed to be tested. It's designed to be experienced. And the only way you can experience it is to do it. Now, you can't just be out doing willy-nilly. You have to also stop and take a look at the results you're getting. And a lot of times you'll find that the results that you're getting are not consistent with what you had hoped for, which means that you may need to stop and make some adjustments along the way. Most of us are not going to be perfect at the things that we learn, which is why it's important for you to practice and get better. But you want to make sure that you are practicing perfectly. By perfect practice, I'm talking about, that you're doing it right to begin with. That's why the learning becomes so important. But one of the best ways to learn is to get out and do, so you can see where you may be deficient. And then as you review your results and you see that the results are getting better, you'll know to do more of that thing that's bringing you better results. And then guess what? It's time to get more training. Because there will always be time to get more training, as long as you don't let training stop you from implementing. Don't ever allow the desire or need to have more training and more knowledge keep you from implementing what you already learned. Sometimes we like to be perpetual students. We're always getting ready to one day maybe do something. That's not what I'm talking about. You need to be in action at all times and learning in those times when you're not in action. Now, one of the things that I have found, and this is one of the reasons I take teaching so seriously, is that teaching others to do what I just shared with you not only enriches their lives, but it helps you to be better prepared to do the things that you need to do. When you prepare yourself to know a subject matter well enough that you can teach it to others, you tend to master that subject matter better for your own purposes. Now, it might be a little while before you are truly ready to teach in the formal sense, the way that I am here. But you can teach by your example, by encouraging people. If you read a book, tell them to pick the book up. Tell them what you found in the book that you thought would be valuable to them. That's another form of teaching. You've just educated somebody on something that exists out here that they need to know about. That's teaching. Ask them questions about what they learned in the book. Discuss it with them. Have a dialogue. Those are all things that help you get better at who you are, but they help the people around you in your circle of influence as well. And we're going to talk about the importance of your circle of influence a little bit later. But the point I'm trying to make is that training and personal development is a lifestyle choice that you must make if you want to be successful at mastering your life. Now, let's talk a little bit about what it means to be in business. Because a lot of people, because of the fact that the kinds of businesses that I'm going to be talking with you about, they don't require a lot of capital outlay on the front end, they tend to not take them seriously. So I want you to avoid that mistake, because the kinds of businesses that I'm going to introduce you to and help you to develop aren't going to require you to spend $500,000 to get a franchise to then build $1 million building and hire hundreds of thousands of dollars of employees. You see, when someone owns a franchise like that, they don't need much motivation to get up in the morning. They have no choice. But you've got to take your business as seriously as the person that made that kind of financial commitment. And that's why it's important to realize that this is a business. It is not a hobby. It is certainly not a not-for-profit activity. And you got to make sure you don't turn it into that if you really want to get results. So take your business seriously. I want you to pretend that you did invest $500,000 to get your business started. If that's what it takes to motivate you to stick with it, then pretend that you did. Because you have the ability to be more profitable with some of the things that we're going to talk about that you could do than you would if you opened a franchise. Think about how long you have to work in a franchise before you recoup your initial investment, let alone make a profit. You realize it could take 5 or more years for a McDonald's franchisee just to break even? That's incredible when you think about where there are opportunities today to be profitable almost immediately. But a lot of those opportunities didn't exist 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But they exist today, and I'm going to be introducing you to those opportunities. Now, no matter what your business is, no matter what your expertise is, no matter what you decide to go into, there are going to be times when you are extremely excited. Like right now, you're probably extremely excited about the possibilities with your business right now and what you're going to build and what it's going to mean to you and what it's going to allow you to do and who it's going to allow you to become. And you should be excited about all of that. But then there are going to be times where things don't go as well as you thought, and you're going to start experiencing some self-doubt. And when you experience that self-doubt, it's going to take you down. And all I'm telling you here is that there's going to be times when you're really excited and times when you're not so excited. But you've got to learn how to balance yourself so that you proceed with an even keel. You can't afford to get up too high, and you certainly can't afford to get down too low. You want to be on an even keel so that you can make intelligent decisions about staying the course, moving forward, and being consistent on your journey. Now, in the beginning of any business, I don't care what kind of business you start, you're going to end up investing a little bit of time and a little bit of money. And usually in the business, you end up investing more time on the front end and you end up making less money. And that's what this diagram in the upper right-hand corner is designed to symbolize, is that in the beginning of almost any business you can think of, you've got to have some startup time. So in the beginning, you end up spending more time and making less money. But as time goes on, the time you spend, especially when it's well spent, ends up becoming an exponential multiplier, because at some point in time, you're going to end up spending less time and making more money. And that is the essence of what it means to build an asset in the form of a business, is getting to the point where that asset begins repaying you by allowing you to recoup your time and still generate higher and higher levels of earning. So when Bill Gates started Microsoft, was working out of his garage 24 hours a day to get things in order, he knew, he had enough vision to know that at some point in time, he would have a business that didn't matter whether he got up in the morning or not. And you can have that too if you make the right choices. So I'm going to be here to help to guide you, to help to coach you, to give you some direction. But the one thing I can't do is I can't do it for you. So I'm going to ask you to work with the information I provide you and not expect someone else to do it for you. Now, there are several ways that we learn, and I want you to be tuned into all of them. The first way that we learn is what we call learned knowledge. That's what you're getting here, where you're in a classroom type setting. You're being given instruction. And that's a very important form of learning. They're all important. They all play together to give you your total learning experience. The next way that we learn is through what we call activity knowledge. That's where you learn something and then you go out and you implement it. You try it. Someone described to you how to do something, and then they, I used to teach swimming lessons. We would actually describe to someone, show them how to swim, and then put them in the water and let them try it. That's called activity knowledge. The third way that we learn is by what we call modeling knowledge. That's where you look at somebody else that's doing what you'd like to do, and you find out what they did to get there, and you do it too. You model yourself after someone who already has been successful. That's largely what franchises are about. Someone has created a system that has been proven to work in generating an outcome. And they basically package that knowledge and those system components in something that you can license from them so that they can accelerate the pace at which you can do that thing that the franchise was created to do. Now, the last way that we learn is through teaching knowledge. We talked about that earlier. Teaching knowledge is when you learn something well enough that you can show somebody else how to do it. And in the showing, you actually become better at it yourself, because you reach a whole different level of learning and understanding when you know how to do something, but you also know how to teach somebody else to do it. There's a lot of people out here that are good at what they do, but they can't teach somebody else to do it. When you become competent to teach somebody else how to do something that you have a skill with, you actually learn to master that skill even more, because it requires a whole different level of learning for you to be able to pass the knowledge on. So all of these are going to be a part of your journey in entrepreneurship and in life. And the bottom line is you should embrace every one of them because they're all important. Okay, now it's time for us to talk a little bit about your idea. And again, I don't want you to be spooked if you don't have an idea yet. You're going to get an idea, so it doesn't matter if you have one right now. But what I would tell you is that it wouldn't hurt for you to start thinking about what it is you enjoy, what it is that you already have an acumen for, something you already have an affinity for, something you already have as a natural talent. Or if you don't have a natural talent, a natural interest. You see, you don't even have to be good at what you want to go into business doing as long as you have a desire to be better at it. There are a lot of things that we start out not knowing how to do, but because of our passion for wanting to be good at it, we pick the skills up. And when we get to the point where the skills are refined enough, we can actually do that for pay. So if you don't have something that and a lot of times the thing that you're naturally talented at may not be something you're interested in. How many times do you see people that they're good at something, but they don't like doing it? So your business doesn't have to be about what you have a natural affinity for, but it helps if you love to do what you're already gifted with. You can always develop a gift though. So don't limit yourself just to what you are good at. You can always develop the skill to be good at whatever it is you put your mind to doing. But the people who will hit the ground fastest are the ones who have talents that match up with their passions. So if you do have something you love doing and you're good at it, you're going to probably be faster down the track than someone that has to become good at whatever it is that they'd like to do. Both of you can be successful. Both of you will be successful as long as you stick with your journey. Now, just to make sure that we reiterate the importance of understanding the difference of ideas versus labor, I want you to think about this. You see, ideas are not dependent on your labor. In other words, think about this. Right now, you have a full-time job. They pay you to do a few things on a job description. When was the last time your boss or someone above you came to you and asked you if you had any new ideas? That probably is not a conversation that happens a lot at your job. They probably check up on you to make sure you got your work done, though, don't they? So having a business is about having an idea. It's not dependent on your labor. An idea creates revenue in your absence. We talked about the fact that whether Bill Gates shows up for work today or not, he's going to generate income because of his idea for Microsoft, not because he's there to make sure that the boxes are getting shipped out and the software is being developed. I hope you understand that. So an idea creates revenue in your absence. And your idea is more important because of the impact that it has, not because of the amount of activity you put into it. The truth is, some people have become absolutely wealthy solely because of the impact their idea had on society, not because of how hard they worked to implement it. So start getting in the habit of viewing your business as an idea. It's not about how hard you're going to work. It's about how much of an impact you can have on others without worrying about how much time you're putting in. Truly, a business should be about creating systems that allow you to implement your idea in a way that has the maximum impact and value for society. That's what business is about. Steve Jobs didn't try to sell every iPhone. He empowered stores around the world to sell his idea, which was the iPhone. Imagine if he had to deliver every one of those to the people that wanted them, which is what a lot of us do in our business. Even worse than that, we go to work in jobs where we go to work and we get paid. We go to work and we get paid. If we don't go to work, we don't get paid. And we do the same thing sometimes in businesses where it still ends up being about our time. When you are in a business where it's still just about your time, you're really self-employed, which only means that you're more likely to like your boss than when you worked for somebody else. But ultimately, it's not giving you the liberation, the freedom that comes with an idea. So that's why I want to teach you how to come up with an idea and then how to implement systems that minimize the amount of time you have to take, that substitute others for your effort, but allow you to generate the income from it. And that's possible to do in a very, very simple way. It's also possible to do in a way that's fair to others. Because it sounds like, sometimes when I talk about that, people, well, that sounds like you're exploiting people. No. You see, there's a lot of people that aren't making the move that you're making, which is to get an idea. They're perfectly comfortable providing the labor for your idea. In fact, the reason you have a job right now is because somebody else had an idea. Now that you're seeing the value of having ideas yourself, you will create opportunities for other people to have jobs. And eventually, hopefully, the light bulb will go on for them too, and they'll come up with an idea that will create jobs for people who aren't ready to have an idea. So think about that. Your job exists because somebody had an idea. Why not you have the idea? So that's going to pretty much wind us down on this lesson. Now, I told you that the last thing we were going to talk about was some things that are important about your journey. And I want you to understand this. This comes from years and years of experience in interacting with people and working with people and weeding through the people who come into your life to see who's really there to do something that's positive in your life and for whom you can do something positive. So this is very important. I want you to begin today to consciously surround yourself with quality people. Now, when I say quality people, I'm not trying to be judgmental here. But let's face it, there are some people in your life that drain the life out of you, and there are some people that really inspire you. But we choose to hang around too much with the ones that drain the life out of us. Think about all the activity you see on Facebook where people are ranting and arguing with each other and picking at each other and posts, and none of that adds any value to anything that's worth doing. You need to be prepared and willing to separate yourself from drama and drama kings and queens and to put yourself in the company of people who inspire you. And fortunately for you, with the Bold New Economy program, you're going to have the ability to accelerate the pace at which you get introduced to those kinds of people that inspire you. People who are sharing information that worked for them so it'll hopefully work for you too. But you've got to make the conscious decision to be in the company of those people, because it's going to be just as easy for you to be on Facebook as it is for you to be in the company of people that inspire you. So it is a choice. It is your responsibility to make that choice. Nobody can make it for you. I also want you to be conscious of the importance of seeking out opportunities to collaborate. A big part of success in business is not doing it all yourself, but finding the right people with whom to do it. Your attitude should be, let's go do it, not you go do it or I'll go do it. Let's go do it together. You'd be surprised how quickly you can put together a team of people who will get behind your mission and help you to get there, either because they believe in the mission or because it helps them too, or both. Your idea creates that opportunity for that to happen. And thirdly, I want you to get in the habit of investing in relationships. And by that I mean, if you pick quality people, support them with your time, energy, and your money. There are going to be times where somebody's got an idea and they need a little capital. If you're in a position to do that, help them out with that. There are going to be times where you need some help, and by investing in the people around you, they will voluntarily raise their hands and say, let me help you with that. I can't tell you how many people that happens to for me for every single day. But the reason it happens is because they know when they need something, they can call on me and I will be there for them. So investing in relationships becomes an asset in not just your business, but in your life. And you have to view it that way. So I hope that in this short lesson, and this was short, that you are opening your mind to where the real opportunities in life lie. You see, up to this point, the scope through which you've chosen to view your life may have been very narrow. You may have seen yourself as being a rat on a wheel, just constantly living paycheck to paycheck, just constantly going through the motions, getting in rush hour traffic, going to a job you hate, working for people you don't enjoy being around, and then getting back in the car, coming home, and having a negative attitude because of everything you experienced during the day, and then starting that same process over day after day. You now have the ability to make a choice, to create something that you can truly be passionate about, something you can truly be proud of, something that has the ability to truly allow you to fully express who you are and what you have the potential to be. Don't turn back. I'm here to help you moving forward, not to have you turn back. You made the choice to be part of the bold new economy. Keep moving forward. And on that note, I want to thank each and every one of you for the choice that you have made and for trusting me to be your guide as you start this journey. I don't know that we'll be together forever. I only know that I will be here for as long as you need me. So I want to thank you once again for trusting me to be your guide through the bold new economy. I look forward to seeing you on October 28th at 10 a.m. sharp. Be ready to learn so that you can be ready to earn. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you later.